Welcome back, everyone, to another Tennessee 2025 opponent preview video. And this time we're going to focus on the Florida Gators. Tennessee will be playing Florida November 22nd on the road, the Swamp. This is a very late game that Tennessee has played Florida. As you know, normally this game is played the third Saturday in September, is what has been kind of linked in recent years, or at least in the last couple decades. But, with the addition of Oklahoma and Texas joining the league and kind of shuffling the SEC schedule around, last year this game was played the week before we played Alabama. I think it was like October 12th, if I'm not mistaken. And now it has been pushed all the way back to late November before we take on Vanderbilt. So definitely a different time playing the Gators, but still a fierce rivalry all the way around. Kind of previewing the Florida Gators just a smidge here. Last year, during the preseason, it looked like this was going to be a disastrous season for Billy Napier. Had that really tough schedule. Started out slow. Losing to Miami at home. But then as the season rolled along, they really started to pick up steam. If you remember last year, during our game with them, their starting quarterback throughout the season, Graham Mertz, got injured in the game. Was pretty much, I think he was done the rest of the year. Matter of fact, I think he was done for the rest of the year. And then entered in the freshman DJ Lagway. And DJ played exceptionally well at starting quarterback. He had some injuries he was dealing with last year himself, but there's definitely talent there in that quarterback room. And, Florida ended up having a great, from preseason perspective to end of the season perspective, a great season, but, still kind of an average team last year, but ended up, going to the Gasparilla Bowl and ended up winning that. So looking at this year's team, it starts with DJ Lagway at quarterback, and I think the way this team is going to perform this year has to do with DJ Lagway and especially his health, as we're recording during fall camp. And the big story coming out of Florida, and one of the big stories in the nation, has been DJ Lagway already still dealing with that left calf strain from last year, and it's still kind of a lingering effect. And, there is some anxiousness, if you will, for this Florida team and just kind of the health throughout the season. And, especially as you go up against SEC play. So we'll see, can DJ Lagway stay healthy? He's a talented quarterback, but it's definitely a red flag for him and for this team. Florida does return both running backs back, Jaden Bach and Jacoby Jackson. Eugene Wilson back at wide receiver for the Gators. And then they end up, looks like they're going to go with a freshman wide receiver in Dallas Wilson at wide receiver. And they end up getting a transfer in from UCLA. So, pretty solid for the most part on the offense. It's not a explosive offense, but it's enough to get the job done, and we'll see what Billy Napier can kind of work around. Hayden Hassan at tight end, and they got a very veteran offensive line for this team. Their defense, to me, is probably the strength of their team. Starts with Tyreek Sapp, one of the best players in the SEC on that defensive line for Florida. They returned back Jamari Lyons, who was out with an ankle injury last year, so it looks like he's trying to get back to 100% and ready to go by their first game. You also got Caleb Banks and George Gums and Bryce Thornton in the defensive back, along with Devin Moore. And then kicker, we haven't talked about special teams a whole lot, and we'll mention this kicker and then the next one in Vanderbilt. But Trey Smack returns back for the Florida Gators, kicking the ball. So, kind of looking at the mindset of this game as we've kind of chronologically gone through all these games. We're not doing win-loss predictions or score predictions. We're just kind of get a mindset and a feel. For Tennessee in this game, you're trying to win at the Swamp for the first time since 2003. We already talked about in other videos, the Achilles heel for Josh Heupel has been trying to pick up road wins. Now, he's had before, wins at Pitt and Kentucky and Vandy, but, there's always that one that Tennessee slips on the road, especially against a team that on paper you probably should win. So that's in the back of your mind, and you got to find a way to salvage that. Meanwhile, for Florida, obviously, depends on where you are at this season. You want to try to get another victory over your rival. Who knows where Florida could be at this point in the season. They could be, they could be already, I'm sure they'll already be bowl eligible by this point. I don't think they're going to be terrible. But, are they on that playoff discussion? So we'll see what happens there. But overall, I think this is a big game for Tennessee. It's also a big game for Florida. It's a big rival game. Emotions are going to be very high, especially the next 2 weeks for Tennessee, playing 2 of your biggest rivals on the calendar season. I know one of them for the next video is a more of a lopsided rivalry, but there is some headlines to it. But for this one, this is a big one. Obviously, Bama is a big one. Georgia's a big one, but this is one that on paper you should get a win, but you have to keep in the back of your mind this is a team that plays you very competitively every year, and every year Tennessee always plays to Florida's level. Sometimes it's good, but a lot of times it's been bad. So it'd be very curious to see the mindset of it. We'll see how Tennessee does late in the season. Well, normally when we go down to Florida, it's like 110 degrees down there. It's always a 3:30 game. Last time we went down there, it was a night game. But, I don't know if the weather would do anything, but you got to find a way to get that bad luck from the Swamp out of the way, or it's going to continue on for another couple of years. And who knows with the SEC schedule, because you're going to have a different schedule next year in conference play. You're not repeating the same teams, at least that I'm aware of. And I think this game's intact. But, you need to find a way to not let this losing streak on the road at the Swamp continue on for another couple of years. But we'll see what happens. Should be a fun game. We'll see how the quarterback situation will look for both teams. But that wraps it up for the Florida opponent preview, and we're going to wrap up this conference schedule as we will preview the Vanderbilt Commodores tomorrow at 4 o'clock right here on our Vols Society social media pages. And until next time, this is David Moore.